Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear viewers. Welcome back to another episode here at Mic'd Up 416. Like always, we have a great panel with me. I'm your host, Ustadh Omar. Thank you very much for joining us once again, and I'm sure you're liking it. We're getting a lot of feedback from all of the episodes that we have done, and we're on now episode number 7. Alhamdulillah. We're going to be talking about something a little bit more on the aspect of the religious point, but we've done 2 episodes of this same topic before, and we're coming with part 3 because this was probably the second most anticipated topic to talk about, just how detrimental it is to Islam and the creed of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So before we get into that, and before I talk about, or before I introduce the panel that's with me today, shout out to Haramain TV Studios. Make sure you're following them on Facebook and on YouTube, Haramain TV. Keep a lookout for the logo, and make sure that your IPTV boxes all have Haramain TV for the true Islamic content that's coming near you. Once again, shout out to Haramain TV, Asif Bhai, and the entire team for letting us hosting us for season 3 of Mic'd Up. And for us, make sure that you're and you have subscribed to the YouTube channel Mic'd Up 416. Please make sure that you continue to share and you get your friends and family to like and subscribe. It just helps us a little bit more, reaching a different, broader view and content from everybody else. So Jazakallah for all of your love and support thus far. Getting right into it, my guests today, not strangers to the podcast by any means. Over to my right, Hafiz Bilal, joining us back, and we have Shaykh Aamer returning once again. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to the both of you.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
MashaAllah. First of all, Hafiz Umrah Mubarak, two times in
Jazakallah.
the last 2 months. So great.
Alhamdulillah.
We were talking about going for Umrah in February and making a plan to take the families and whatnot in a group again, and Hafiz beat us to the punch and was able to go again. So Umrah Mubarak once again. So topic at hand: Sufism and Sufi cults. We did 2 episodes on this in season 1, and I think 1 in season 2. So we did part 2 in season 2. But it was definitely an eye opener for a lot of people. One, that they think that Sufism is another sector of Islam, and we've answered those questions. So if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, you can go ahead and do that. And I think today, I want to kind of talk about how it is affecting the creed of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in current affairs. How to identify a real Sufi. What does it mean? I just want to touch a little bit about that. But I also want to talk about why is tasawauf so important, and why is it being lapsed out from our daily lives today. So let's start here. Tasawauf, Sufism, what it actually is. I guess let's start there first. So whoever wants to jump in. How do you identify a real Sufi and what tasawwuf actually is? So let's start there.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about this in the Quran. Alif Lam Mim Zalikal Kitabu La Rayba Fi Hudal lil Muttaqin. Meaning He has sent this kitab down for the pious and the muttaqin. And when we speak about this, is that we understand the ahkam, we understand the Quran, we understand a formal life standard that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for mankind. To understand this as well in metaphysics, tasawwuf is very important. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about muttaqin. To get to this level of piousness, you need to understand the Sharia law, and then to apply the Sharia law in your everyday life. So ahkam are being sent from the Quran. Then a guidance is Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you applying this in your everyday life. And that is someone who is muttaqin. And Sharia teaches you simply that, for example, an ahkam, do not lie, do not steal. These are ahkams in the Quran. Now, in my mind, or for example, for the viewers to make it a little bit more visionary, do not look at a ghair mahram unlawfully. So in your mind, we have this ahkam that we learned already from the Quran. And then to express this in our everyday, we need to practice this. So ahkam is saying that do not look at a ghair mahram, and we are practicing this in our mind that when we do see a woman, and then when a woman does see a man, to put her gazes down. To remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we are speaking the truth, we don't lie. We're continuing this practice amongst us. Some examples I'm showing you, and this is tasawuf. Tasawuf is a metaphysic that is enveloping underneath the Sharia. It is not overlapping the Sharia. It is under the Sharia, and it is a science according to the Sharia.
Right. So, understanding tasawuf in the concept, how does tasawuf relate to Sufism? And why is Sufism important in our day and age?
I guess one way to put it would be, Sufism, or at least tasawwuf, is a way of life, right? Like Shaykh Aamer was saying, it's a combination of all of your ahkam and all of your a'mal, right? You want to make sure that you have a balance between what you are as a person, how you are as a Muslim, and your obligations as a Muslim,
right.
Not just to yourself, but to also others.
Right.
A key word for that would be akhlaq, right? Combining your akhlaq with your a'mal and making sure that you have a balance of both. And Shaykh Aamer also said that, it's something that's under Sharia, because Sharia takes the utmost importance
100%.
there. The best way to put it, I believe it was Imam Malik that said, Sharia and tariqah are two wings of a bird, right? You can't have one wing and fly across the sky as a bird, right? You need to have both wings, right? So Sharia and tariqah are something that you want to have balance of,
right.
And something that is for creating balance.
Is Sufism different than Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah creed?
No, it's not different. What it is, the word Sufism just derived from the word Sufa. Sufa meaning the people of the Saf, meaning to say it is mentoring or understanding the Sahabas. The Ahl Sufa were who? The companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because they are the best of the Sufis. And they were in the Sohbat of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this word Sufi actually arrived from there. Or in Persian, there's another understanding of this, that the people of Tasawwuf, they wore wool coats to distinguish themselves, to live in peace and tranquility, that they weren't from this world, meaning a part of this world, but they're living inside this world, but they're not a part of this world. They had these wool coats, and that's called Suf.
Right.
So also that Sufism or Sufi came from this terminology, but it's not differentiated between the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. The one who is Sufi, he is Sunni.
Right. Sunni from the Ahl Sunnah.
You can't be Shi'i and Sunni, Sufi. It doesn't work.
Right.
You can't be Salafi Sufi. It won't work. You cannot be Tablighi Sufi. It's not going to work.
Right.
Because the core belief is from the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
Right.
And you're following the Aamer.
So what we see, especially now, is that the people of the Mazarat, Dargah, the saintly graves and shrines all over the world, is those individuals who are overly exposing that they are Sufis. And what happens there is that they take bayah under the tariqah, that whichever tariqah that they're a part of. So I want to start step by step. So tariqah and doing bayah amongst the Sharia, jais and proven by Quran and Sunnah or not?
I can start by saying yes. Giving bay'ah or putting your hand in another, a sheikh's hand, for example, proven through the Quran and Sunnah. Pledge of Hudaybiyah, one example. For example, the account of the hadith, Man kuntu mawla fahada aliyun mawla. In that instance as well, when we had the selection of Khilafah, or when the Prophet ﷺ left this world and Sayyidina Abu Bakr became Khalifa and Amir al-Mu'mineen, everybody pledged their hand in his hand. If you look at the case after the Khulafa al-Rashideen, if you look at between the Sulah between Imam Hassan and Sayyidina Amir Muawiyah, again, by pledge of allegiance, right? So that's something that is rooted within Quran and Sunnah.
And one of the things that I want to mention is to even simplify it even more. Sayyiduna Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma was the son of Sayyidina Omar, obviously Muslim, but he put his hand in the hand of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So what was the purpose? He was given, he's obviously born into a Muslim family. Sayyidina Omar was his father, and then he put his hand in the hand of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. For what purpose? That this is my teacher, this is my mentor, this is my Shaykh, so on and so forth. Above all, that he is the Rasul of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what we see now is that once you put your hand in the hand of this Shaykh or teacher or Peer or whatnot, you become a murid, you become a part of them and a part of their tariqah. And this is where I think the biggest demise starts to happen, where the downfall starts to happen. Is that now I'm putting more emphasis on the Peer, and I'm being taught tariqah, and my Peer is not following in the way of the Sharia, and so on and so forth. But it's obvious to us looking out. But what's happening inside this is this cultish behavior, that I have to be a part of this group, and that's it, my Peer over everything. So let's talk about a little bit about this. Like, where is this stemming from? That, oh no, my Peer, and we're getting fights between Peers and so on and so forth. This is what's giving a bad name to Islam, and it's giving bad name to the Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah.
Well, firstly, I want to kind of retract a little bit. The examples that Hafiz Bilal has given with the Quran has an example that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given, or they have given bayat with, the Sahabas have given bayat with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to assure their belief, to differentiate between the munafiq. So the bayat was given to the Sahabas amongst Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to show a surety that now that when we are going for jihad, there's no looking back. So this was the treaty of Hudaybiyah, was for to listen, we're only less, but you have to conform, and we're going to go straight forward. This is the treaty of Hudaybiyah. The other examples were to also to show the love of the Sahabas, to conform amongst them, just like Imam Hassan to Sayyiduna Amir Muawiyah, that the Khilafat has to be restored, and the kingship has to be restored, that there is no difference between the Sahabas. Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba was a Sahaba, and Amir Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala an was a Sahaba. There is no difference between them. It's all love. So this was to show that we have to show allegiance to the Sahabas. Now when it comes to Shaykh and Peers, that what you're asking for, it is not fard, and it's not wajib, and it's not even mustahab to have a Peer. According to the Sharia. It's not in the Sharia to have a, you have to, meaning it's not lazim. It's in for your embetterment, to have an ustad that can teach you these sciences to clear your ego amongst you. But what we see now, we have ustads who are shayukh and peers who are living a glamour life, who are living in the hands of their own murids. But it should have been the other way around. It should have been a shaykh living in modesty and living off of no offerings. But we see the total opposite now. We've seen their Nazranas come in. We've seen funding coming in. But the Peer has a lavishing life. He's touring around the world. But you have never left your own house. But he's gone to Hajj at least once a year with his whole family. But you have not did Hajj yet. The job was for you to change your internal changing spiritually, for you to have to be inspired to do this. But
so why do people, sorry to cut you off, but why do people resort to giving money to their peers. Where did this stem from? This
Actually,
giving
the
money?
Nazrana, when we say Nazrana, this is Ghayr Sharif. You shouldn't be saying Nazrana. Nazrana is actually in the Quran, it states for Nazrana is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hadiya is the correct word for giving this, but it's a cultural, it's an urf now, like it's now. We say Nazrana, but it's not, should not called be Nazrana. It's Hadiya. It should be given to your Shaykh or Peer. This system of this giving money, I can't answer, I don't know. Again, some Sufis resort back to this where they said some charity that has been given to Rasulullah salatu wasalam, and from there it stemmed off like this. And don't quote me exactly, but this is what the quotes are regarding this. This could be true that some offerings are to Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but remember, this is the Prophet. This is the Deen of Islam. He is building Islam. He is doing something with, he has done something with Islam. When Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu ta'ala an, the first Sufi in our ummah is Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiallahu ta'ala an. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, no one's wealth has benefited me more than Abu Bakr as-Siddiq's wealth. Now, if you look at Hazrat Usman ibn Affan, how much wealth that he has given? He has given more wealth than Abu Bakr. But why did Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam say this? That why did Abu Bakr's wealth mean to me more than anyone else? Why? And I cannot repay it back, or I will not. I repaid everyone back, but I will not. I cannot repay Abu Bakr. Allah will repay Abu Bakr. Why? He has brought Usman into Islam. He has brought Sa'd ibn Waqqas. He has brought Ubayd Jarrah. He has brought Hazrat Bilal Habshi. He has brought Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. He has brought Zubair and Talha. He has brought the 6 Ashara Mubashirin that aided into Islam. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's ahadith, very famous, the one that guides to good, he will get the reward like it. Meaning, if you guide someone to good, Usman gave sadaqah, Usman gave everything to Islam, but the reward went to Abu Bakr. This is what the hadith meant. That Dar al-Arqam was created and made at the time of Ilan al-Nubuwah when there was no madad from anyone, but Abu Bakr gave everything in for the sake of the deen. Don't compare yourself to Nabi Rasulullah salatu wasalam and the Sahabas. You cannot compare that the Shaykh are doing the same thing. Now, if the Shaykh are doing the same thing regarding masajid, regarding this and that, then why are they taking money from the masajid? Why are they taking offerings for their pleasurable needs? Why is this happening? This is happening because they themselves are not Sufis. They themselves are thieves. They themselves are robbers. And they themselves have destroyed the image of the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah.
You mentioned one thing, Hafiz Bilal, that I want to turn to you about, is that this thing about money, like we don't know where it came from, but why are we resorting to money? And often what we see is that the ones that are with these so-called Sufi peers or Shaykh are the ones that are wealthy. Is it a coincidence, or is it just that the peer is taking the person who has the most money, who's showing the most money, and bringing them along with them? Because there's an entourage, and that entourage is very wealthy. So I guess this is my question: is it both sides, that the person giving the money wants to get close to the peer, or is it the peer trying to bring the guy closer to him because he's so wealthy?
I think it's a matter of perception. I think you're right. It cuts both ways. One thing you have to understand as to why people might be giving the money or giving that so-called hadiyah or offering to that person is also a cultural aspect as well, right? They might think, I gotta pay him for his services, whatever he might be doing for them, right? I gotta give him a token of appreciation, so to speak, right? I can't constantly be going to him for help and not giving him anything or just using him for free. That's one way, or some people like to think about it. As for the sheikh or the peer themselves, obviously, if they're in it to make money, they're going to go to the wealthiest source, right? They'll skim over the so-called disciples they have that don't have much income, or they don't give them much. Right. And they'll prioritize the ones that give them more, or the ones that are constantly feeding their pockets, right? I don't think it's anything except for out of necessity, right? Because they're only doing it for their own desire, right? The ones that are in it for the money are only doing it for their own desire, so they're going to go after the ones that fill their pockets the most.
So one question that arises, so these people are getting fed all this money, And like you said, they're going for Hajj and 5-star hotels, Hajj every year and so on and so forth, and Umrah countless amount of times in the year. So then I guess, like, are you not blind that the Pir is rolling around in a Rolls Royce and wearing fancy Rolexes and lives in a mansion and is going on all these trips and holidays with their family? Like, why are the people so blind? Like, can you not see that?
No, the thing is also, like, people want to be part of something as well. They want to be part of some famous group. They want to be part of this famous person because the shuyukh and the sheikh is very famous, and he's going to be famous. So he wants to be a part of his lifestyle. He wants to be a part of his life, and the people are blinded because they are not understanding the real understanding of tasawwuf. If they have found the real meaning of tasawwuf, they would not have such peers.
Right. Hafiz, do you want to add to that?
No.
I just don't, it boggles my mind. So I just want to move towards maybe the concept of, I'm attached to this Pir now, and I'm with this Shaykh, and I'm a part of their tariqah, and now it's that over everything. We hear some stupidness that come out of people's mouths, that my Pir has read my namazim for me, my Shaykh has done my fasting for me, and all of these things, meaning they're so engrossed in the love of this Pir and Shaykh that they forget everything else, and now it starts to become Pir over everything, and Pir is life, and Shaykh is life. What do we say about these types of things? Because this is where that culture starts to build, right? About that cultish behavior.
No, it's absolutely shari. It's haram to have these type of opinions and beliefs. If my peer has read my salah, there are some peers are saying that we have read our salah in our dreams already. We don't need to read salah. We have read in Mecca and Medina. We do our 5 times salah in Mecca and Medina. So the answer to that is, then if it's you reading 5 times salah in Mecca or Medina, so why don't you eat your food in Mecca and Medina as well? Why are you eating here in front of us? Why are you asking money from us? Why are you using the washroom in front of us? You should have been over there too, right? You have the ilm al-ghaib, so you should have been over there. So it's all nonsense. It's all foolishness. Firstly, it's haram. This is the behavior of Christians, actually. And this is the reason why there are our mukhalif who trigger these things at us, and then we have to answer them. It's just that these are what the Christians do. The Christians say, oh, Jesus came and he has died on the cross for us, and we don't have to do anything now.
He died for our sins.
Yeah, he died for our sins now,
washed,
right?
yeah.
So he's our salvation. Same belief, same type of opinions now we have with our Shaykh. But the essential belief was that the Shaykh and the Pir are supposed to guide you to the truth. They were supposed to tell you how to read your salah. They were supposed to teach you how to give zakat. They were supposed to tell you how to keep your rosas, and etc., etc. This is the real tasawwuf, but we went astray.
This culture is fueled by the illiterate and the ignorant, right? It only reaches to such a point that we're at today, where anybody can claim anything, and claim to be anything, and be successful at it, and still have a good following because of ignorance, right? You remove knowledge from a people, and this is the sort of consequence you see, and the sort of consequence that's received in society. You've removed knowledge, you removed that which is good, that which benefited the people, and you filled it with ignorance, and you filled it with like-minded ignorance as well, right? You don't just have one person that's rushing behind these people, you have a group of them. You have a whole flock of them. Their entire community or whatever will flock behind these people out of ignorance.
And going to a mazar, jais?
Going to a mazar, according to the Sharia, is only to do Fatiha. Khalas.
So what happens in the dargah, in the mazar? People doing sujood.
They're not part of the Ahl Sunnah right now. There's a group, and it's called Awqaf, and the Awqaf are the people who are in charge of majority of the mazarat around the world. It's one group. That's what they're in charge of. They're the ones who are in charge of urus. They're in charge of sama and all these speakers that come to the gatherings. So these brothers or sisters who are part of this group, they are actually causing a lot of misguidance to the awam.
Right.
And they're the ones who are allowing sujood to occur. They're allowing numerous amount of flowers and offerings and all these traditions that we see from the Hindu community that we have applied into our mazarat, to our Sufis. Now, if you look at the difference between the Arab Sufis, and if you look at the mazarat there, as you've seen, that it's a gold plated chamber. One is refraining you to touch anything, and if you do touch it, it's not the mazar that you're touching, it is the outside rail part. And secondly, there is no chadar poshi, there is no flowers and this and this and that. Some could be ritually, but it's not to the extent that we have in our Desi world.
So sujood to the grave is haram.
Sujood to the grave, if it is to the person undeliberately, and if it's a sujood, is haram. If it's deliberately done, it is kufr.
Good. I just want to make sure we understand that what were the etiquettes of going to the mazar, and should we be going, and what should we be doing there, and so on and so forth. So understanding the etiquettes is very, very important.
If someone still does sujood, it's tahriman, makruh tahriman, close to haram. If it's not applied towards Allah, it is tahriman, and so it's haram. You're not supposed to do it. But there's some people who mazallah that say that the mazar is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like meaning they are linked them with Allah. They are shirk, and this is kufr.
So when we see now tasawauf, and obviously it's a new ideology now. Sufism is not what it used to be, right? There are some real people of tasawwuf, but they're very hidden. And now what comes is that there is a portray of what a Sufi is supposed to look like, and so on and so forth. And these people are like wolves in sheep clothing. And some of the stuff that they're doing, I just want to be able to see so people can identify how to identify a real Shaykh who is on tasawwuf versus what we are seeing. So maybe Hafiz, what we're supposed to see, and then Shaykh Aamer, you can tell us about what we are actually seeing, so the opposite.
I'll try and touch on.
I'll answer the first part.
Go ahead.
The dini part, and because Hafiz can express his views because it's around everyone. What it's supposed to be is that your Shaykh and your Peer should be one. A condition is a alim. The greatest of the Peers that we follow is Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. What he said, every wali has to be an alim. Har alim is a wali. So he put condition on both. That if you're a wali, a Shaykh, you have to be an alim. And if you're an alim, you have to learn tasawwuf. Just like the brother said about the wings, that you need shariat and tasawwuf together. Ghausbach answered this question already. One condition is an alim. We don't see this in the awam right now. And another condition that we should see is that someone that you can actually relate to, someone that you can actually speak to, someone that you have access to. If you're going to get someone with famous, for example, there are famous Sufis and famous scholars, or famous Sufis. When are you going to visit them? How are you going to be in their sohbah? They don't care about you. You're just a number to them. So these are some of the things that brother can express on with the views that I've spoken about.
No, as regards with the the fake shuyukh and those people were wolves in sheep's clothing, right? Shaykh Buti rahimahullah, he actually used the term of istidraj to apply to these people. How are these so-called wolves in sheep's clothing able to attract so many people? Or, we've seen for example, the chufchufs and the other ones that, that have claimed to do some sort of miracle and stuff. So he actually attributes the word of istidraj. What is istidraj? when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives apparent miracles to the disbelievers, right? When he makes a kafir, deception, when he makes a kafir, perform a sort of miracle, for example. Because we're not going to classify what a kafir does as, karamat or mujizat. So we use the word istidraj. He said this is also applicable to those sheikhs who are in for their desires and for, money, for the purpose of deceiving people of Islam, right? So he uses this word. And it's the direct connotation of it. And you're saying, what are the qualities that you're supposed to be looking for? You look at a person of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they should be reminding you of Allah, right? Looking at them should be ibadah because you're looking at them and you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? How many of them can say that that's a case, right? Shaykh Aamer mentioned an even greater point, that they should all be an alim, right? And that should be a requirement. How many of these so-called people do we know, who just look and dress the part just for the show, but they don't have any qualifications, right? How many of them are just namesake? Hey, he's a son of someone, or hey, this is the sort of khadim of this place, or he's the son of this place, or he's the next in line. Automatically, he should be a peer. Automatically, we should give him bay'ah. Automatically, we should give him murids. It doesn't work like that.
I think one of the biggest things attaching yourself with being an alim is that you should be visually practicing the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. And I think it goes hand in hand with obedience to Allah and following in the way of the Prophet ﷺ, which we don't see. But my thing now comes to, what is the role of the people of tasawwuf? What are they supposed to be doing? And then what are we seeing? I want to touch on modern day times as well.
The role of a Sufi in that area, in your surrounding area, it should be teaching the murids, one, obedience towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obedience to humankind as well, and obedience towards the deen. All of these things are in tariqah, that is going to be applying to your character. These are the things that a Sufi should be taking care of. And a Sufi should be that attractive to the awam, where a prostitute will feel sharam and she will put a dabat on her head too. This is a Sufi, and we have this examples of when Hazrat Bayzi Bastami rahmatullah alayh was called to a village, and the murid said, Ya Shaykh, our men are going towards fahasha, immorality. There's a woman prostitute that is luring the men, and our men are going towards this. So Hazrat Bayzi Bastami said, okay, show me the brothel, show me that place where she stays. He went to the house, and the woman was there, a prostitute was there. So they did that for the money, how much it cost for the night for her. Hazrat Bayzi gave the money, and it was done. She was starting to take off her clothes now. Hazrat Bayzi said, stop. Who told you to take off your clothes? And she was shocked. She's like, well, isn't this why you're here? He goes, no, I bought you for the night. You're going to listen to me now. You're going to listen to me what I'm doing now. She's like, what do you mean? She's like, Hazrat Bayzi said, from tonight now, do wudu and read nawafil behind me now, all night. I paid you for the night. Now you're going to read salah all night. All night they read nawafil. Hazrat Bayzi Bastami went into sujood. And when he went into sujood, he said, Ya Allah, this was my job.
You do the rest.
This is my job now. I did this much. And look, Hazrat Bayzi is showing his ability. He is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he's showing you, according to the Sharia, this is my ability. This is all I can do. Now it's up to you, Ya Allah. Soon as the woman went into sujood, when she came back into realization, she became the greatest waliyah of the zamana. She left her fahasha, she left her immorality, she did tawbah, and she became the best of the saints in that era. This is the miracles. These are miracles of Sufis. Nothing else. Hazrat Imam Shafi'i radiallahu ta'ala an said, if you see a man that is flying in the air and showing these miracles, but he cannot conduct the Sharia, know that he is a magician. Know that he is a magician and stay away from him. So miracles, what we have been deceived about, what the brother is speaking about, istidraj. Istidraj is actually also a link to Dajjal when he comes. So they will. This is nothing unusual that's going to happen. Like, this is not no big thing. These are going to be given to these people. These powers. They will be. There have been, when Khaja Muinuddin Chishti rahmatullah alayh came into India, there were yogis that were practicing these type of istidraj, black magic too, which they had slippers and used to throw it in the air. This is how they tried to attack Khaja Sahib. But Khaja Muinuddin Chishti rahmatullah alayh, alhamdulillah, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the yogis used to practice these things. So these things are even in those days. But the karam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the saints, they look how much Muslims that Khaja Muinuddin Chishti has reverted to Islam. 9 lakh is what translated to
900,000.
9 million?
9 million, yeah. 900,000 or 9 million?
No, million.
9 million. 9 million.
Hindus who are kufar, who but parasti, were in the hands of Khaja Muinuddin Chishti rahmatullah. Like, this is Sufism.
So
this
you brought up two very good points. I want to touch on one of them. We see one of them in Ajmer Sharif. We see this a lot, and what happens, because it's one of the famous dargahs in the world. A lot of people go there. And what's happening there? Is it safe to say, and I just want to clear the air, is that these people, they go in and these khadims are taking them around and you pay this khadim and stuff. We saw that with that guy that was trying to walk towards Hajj from the south or whatnot. And he went to, and he says, yo, pay up, and Khaja Sahib denge, and I'm going to make dua for this and blah, blah. Are these people who are running the mazarat and dargahs, are they from the Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah? Yes or no?
Meaning they can label themselves as Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, but they're not practicing the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Like, we don't know internally what their beliefs are, but they're going against the Sharia. So someone that goes against the Sharia and the Zururiyat of the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, then it's not belonging to the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So these brothers and sisters who are luring people, look who they're luring. They're luring those naive people who don't know any better than themselves. So first is for you to get educated first. Then you can stand up. There has been people that refute these people there too. There's videos of that too. So stop asking me for money. Stop asking me for money. Stop. Don't do dua for me. I will do dua for myself.
Right.
I will do. I'm liable for my own self. I don't need your help. This and this. There has been videos that shown too. But those are brothers and sisters who are alims, who come to the mazarat for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for their duas to be accepted in that surrounding area. Right. This is the concept.
So where does this cultish behavior stem from? I don't want to leave my peer. My peer is my everything. This and that. What makes them so attracted to this behavior where you are now confined in this box that you can't get out of? And we see this a lot. We're not going to name drop anybody, but we see this a lot where, no, this is my gang. And that's what I think it seems like, lack of better word, is that this is gang. This is who I'm a part of. I'm going to dress like them. I'm going to wear my stuff like them. I'm going to speak like them, and so on and so forth. Where does this take somebody from the real path to a different path?
The real, like, when someone tries to look as the same as a shaykh, there's a certain color to represent different mazarat or different tariqas. So the person wants to follow this as a fellowship of the sainthood that they come from, that represents you. That's fine. By wearing or signifying, that still doesn't make you a Sufi. By imitating your peer and etc. What it does is it gives you a self-belonging. That's why people do it. They want to show that they are higher in authority than you. They want to show that we know more than you. My peer is greater than you. So it turns into this behavior as well, of cultish behavior, of bringing more people into that foundation that it's going to recruit, and it's going to get bigger and bigger.
And I think it's also not a problem with the shiuch as well, because you can have rightly guided shiuch, right? But if they're not in the vicinity or they don't have a constant eye on the disciples, it's also their awam that causes fitna as well. And we've seen this in very recent history. Very two big sects, not sects, but I would say two big groups of followers getting into clashes and sort of wild interactions just because they don't have the same Shaykh, right? And in both those groups, the Shaykh is on haqq. But it's the awam that create the fitna between the two,
100%.
right? So it's also something to consider there is that, people are responsible as well, right? Another thing to consider is, all of this is sort of spectrum, right? On one hand, we see the bad side of everything, the ones that have these fake juhala, these fake peers. You also have the awam that is misguided, or you have an ignorant awam, right? You have that on one side. You have the Ahlul Sunnah, which is on the middle, right? Refraining from those that are doing the sujood and, doing the tawaf around the qubur and stuff like that, all of that bid'ah and haram. You have the Ahlul Sunnah, which is in the middle, right? And then if you look on the other side of the spectrum, you'll find Wahhabiyah, right? The ones who have completely ignored it and completely removed that aspect from their lives, or from their sort of view on religion. And that's the other side of the spectrum, right? It's that sort of having to find that balance between the two, and we shouldn't have to, but that's the reality of it, right? Is that on one side you have Wahhabiyah, on the other side of the spectrum you have what we have today in terms of what's going on with Sufi cults, and then you have the Ahlul Sunnah in the middle.
So I think that's a very good point, is because you're getting pulled from either direction. People that are seeing Sufi and tasawuf, you're seeing the people of the mazarat and where they're taking their leadership of being a khadim or whatever of the mazar, and what they're portraying to people, and that's what's getting publicized. Case in point, some guy from Pakistan who just came to Toronto recently, Chuf Chuf, and it's shocking. Like, he just went to the UK and he was in Oldham, and the hall was rammed. And there's ulama there that have been working very hard to kind of be like, wake up. The guy doesn't even have a beard on his face. He doesn't know how to do tilawat of the Quran. He doesn't know how to do anything. No one's ever seen him pray. And then all of a sudden he's taking jinns out and stuff like that, making people walk, breaking his tasbih, and everybody's on their thing like this, holding their head because he's doing dumb on them. But people are flooding to him. Why? It blows my mind. Why?
I'll go first if that's okay.
Wow.
I mentioned this point earlier. You take away knowledge from the people, and this is what happens. You have people who would rather get their taweez, rather get dumb, rather get blown on by someone, rather get a tasbih ripped over in front of their faces. They would rather, show like hold their head like a monkey and their head like a monkey, right? They get all these things done rather than first practicing their religion, right? They're going through all of these things as a solution for their problems, but they haven't even prayed Fajr Salah for that morning, right? So like you have to have shuyukh who know that, hey, this person coming to me, is he praying 5 times a day? Whatever problems he might have, whatever spiritual, resolution he's looking for, solution he's looking for, has he prayed his salah first, right? Before I give him taweez first right away. The taweez is no asr to the person if he's not a practicing Muslim, right? If it's a real taweez, at least that's to my belief, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
There's no asr in these spiritual ilaj that they say, unless the person themselves is, knowledgeable to an extent that they're practicing their deen. At least, they're praying 5 times a day, and then whatever hardship Allah has given to them, they're looking for a means for a resolution. 100%. That makes sense. 100%. But if you're already jumping to that point where, hey, this is Jahil, who's, a living example of istidraj, right? You're going to flock to him at a moment's notice because you're seeing it work for other people, but it's like, why are you skipping all the steps in between?
It's all a stage show. It's all a stage show. I also believe that half of those people are paid to be in there, because you cannot be that vulnerable and that stupid to do what we're seeing on social media and stuff like that. I think it's all a big game. Christians do this a lot. And you see them on Sunday on the TV, and they're going crazy when the pastor is holding their hand and stuff. It's the same type of behavior that we have as well, regards to that, or talking to the jinn and taking the jinn out on TV. It's all a stage show to me. I think it's all fake, and I have nothing else to add on. I think Hafiz nailed it, but stay away from certain people like that, and you cannot be that vulnerable to limit yourself where you have to bring your wife in front of these ghair mahram, your sisters in front of these people who are taking advantage of them. And then we're seeing the other side of this too, where unfortunately there are some people who take advantage of their authority. We've seen these incidents as well. And this is what happens when you're stupid, when you bring women to these shayukh and their peers, and it just goes to another level. Astaghfirullah.
I think a lot has to do with upbringing and cultural upbringing. And I think that has a lot to do with it. You know, Babaji is going to take care of us and so on and so forth, because this is what we've been brought up to. And we put more emphasis on this speed or Babaji, and we don't put our trust and tawakkul in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who's the ultimate giver. Yeah, believing in a Shaykh like Sayyidina Ghawth al-Azam radiallahu anhu is different, because he was an alim din. He studied the religion, and I think that's one of the big things. Now, the role of a peer. What is a Shaykh supposed to be giving to his people? And then what is his Shaykh, what is the role in modern day time? Like what's happening? These people in the dargah, the khanqah especially, what is the role of a khanqah in society, and what are they supposed to be doing now in this day and age right now?
We already answered this. The role of the khanqah is, and according to the Sharia, the role of the khanqah was for you to just come to the mazarat if you like, to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to do Fatiha.
No. The khanqah, meaning not just the mazar, the khanqah. What is the khanqah? Because khanqahs are big, right? Whether there's Eidgah Sharif and all of these. What is the khanqah supposed to be doing for the people?
The khanqah, if you're a fellowship of their spirituality, then you're supposed to be teaching them the deen. You're supposed to be opening madaris. You're supposed to be opening orphanages. You're supposed to be doing all of the fundamental rights of Islam. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's it. There's nothing else that that they should be doing. Now, if they're doing publicization of their own fame, advertising their own fame, this is all to me, it's all away from Islam, and it's all personal fame, and it's all for to become stardom, and etc., etc. It's nothing to do with tasawwuf.
It should be centers of knowledge and community service, right? It should be places for people to learn, madaris for students to grow into, tulab, into ulama. And in terms of community service, maybe if there's homeless or miskeen in the area, you take care of them by feeding them, clothing them, have some form of khidmat khalq, but they should be centers of knowledge and service.
Do you think that's happening now?
No.
Do you think khanqahs are opening up jamias? And some of them, like, Jamia Shafiya.
Illa mashallah.
Yeah, illa mashallah. There's Jamia Sufiya, and, there's things happening. But for the most part, is that happening now? And why is that not happening? And why are people so blinded by this?
No, there is happening, because there are people who are following the correct path, like the Tahshuriya and Maslak of Ala Hazrat is according to the Sharia. They are doing everything that we just spoke about, center of knowledge. They have a jamia. People are becoming fazil, ulama, hufaz, whatever science is Islam has been taught, they have been learning. There are no women allowed to come at the mazarat, and that's a mamlat of fiqh as well. So there are people, there are ulama, there are Sufiyas who are actually behaving and conducting themselves according to Sharia, but then unfortunately there's ones that have a different opinion, a different view. I think in the Arab world it's much better than the Desi world. I think in the Arab world they focus on more, not all, but majority of them focus on knowledge,
right,
more than our Desi communities.
So I'm in this cult because my family's in this cult. My parents have been in we won't say cult, we'll just say, we'll get to the cultish part. My grandfather was bayat, had given bayat to this speed. My father's given to bayat to this speed, and now I have to give bayat to this speed, and now it's a vicious circle. Not me personally, but just this has been happening. How do you tell that one person to be able to identify what you're supposed to look for and get out? Because what happens now, it's you stay with me only, you only provide to me, you give me your money, you give, it's me. What do we say to people like that, and how do you make them aware to get them out of this?
If your shaykh and your ustad is embedding your life into your family, and you're seeing the laws of Sharia being prescribed accordingly, then it's fine. But if you are not seeing any of this, and then you should require help from the imams and the ulama as well for guidance, and then helping and mediating the situation. That's very important, or else brainwashing is going to continue to happen. And you need to enroll yourself inside Fardul Ulum courses, and you need to come inside the masjid. You need to enroll yourself inside the madrasa, so you have knowledge of Islam and your surrounding. Other than that, what's going to happen is you're going to break up your family. Most of the Sufis that we see now, they do break up families purposely. So create a facade amongst brothers, facade amongst parents and children, facade amongst this and that, even if your parents are not following me, you have to leave them. Or your children are not, or your brothers are not following me, you have to leave them. But Islam teaches you the opposite. Islam was teaching you to engage in love amongst your family. So if we're not seeing any of the fundamental rights being applied, then it's a red flag. And then you just have to you have to be vocal about it. You have to speak about it. You have to address the matters towards it. And most of us that have seen this, we do address the issues. And if they don't like it, you have to separate from them. You have to separate. That's it.
How do you identify that you're in a cult?
Being brainwashed.
You stated most of the factors, actually. One, you're dressing a certain way, you're trying to conform to a certain look. You're only allowed to listen to this one person. Outside of that person, you're not allowed to listen. Everything, your finances, doing. Mentioning all these, but piggyback on earlier, what's the first thing that parents want for their kids? It's a sad reality that is that let's make him a murid first, instead of sending him to. They reverse the priority of getting knowledge upon this. First, let's make him a murid of this so and so shape tradition. Right? Let's enable into that theology. Sad reality of how we are today. One more point was how do you identify that you're in that cult? You have to take a look at what's around you. What are your surroundings? What's your environment? Are the people that you're with just promoting that one person, or are they promoting other things about the deen as well? Right. So just you have to look around your environment, look at the factors that we were talking about earlier, and that's how you can see.
There's a lot of things that we stress the importance of Khanka and all of that in the tradition, especially from the subcontinent, where you side by side talk about Tariqa and Sharia. And you find in matters that affect the Ummah that it is the ulama, not the peers and sheikhs and stuff, that are speaking out and being vocal about what's happening all over the world, whether it's to Muslims or whether it's in regards to anything of that sort. Why are these people not speaking out? Because I don't know one peer who has spoken out against, whether it's the Rohingya Muslims, whether it's the Uyghur Muslims in China, whether it's issues with Palestine, whether it's issues with anything else, Kashmir. The peers are not speaking out. They have the most power and they have the most murids and all of these things. Why are they not speaking out?
Well, they're not speaking out because they're scripted with also the government as well. So there's another sazish with this. There's another, a side note that they're equipped with, and that is the government. Some of these, exactly what you have just mentioned, that is a red flag right there. If in the matters of the worldly affairs now. If your shaykh and your peer is not speaking about any of these matters, if your life is being threatened or such and such, show us proof of this, that someone has threatened your life, or
What do
someone,
you mean by that?
if someone from the government has threatened your life, a police officer has threatened your life, to the shaykh, that this is the reason why he says, oh, I'm quiet, or I can't say anything, or this and this. So show us at least that, okay, you tried. Because there are ulama, there are shaykh that perhaps do speak out on these matters, but then they're controlled. No problem. Sharia gives you ijazah for this if your life is threatened. But I don't see not one shaykh speaking out against their own prime minister on the matters of Palestine, because they have ta'alluq and relations with media. They have relations with the MPs, the local MPs of their own countries and their own towns. They know that if they go against the government anyway, of speaking out against the government, their khankas are going to be closed. When the khankas are going to be closed, their bank accounts are going to be closed. When their bank accounts are going to be closed, well, guess what? The shaykh is going to be living in your basement then for the rest of your life. It's a business. So you have to understand the cultish behavior amongst the murids as well, and understand what is happening in the current time and current affairs.
I think also, though, another reason why they aren't speaking out is because their main thing isn't being hurt, their income, right? Once their income is starting to hurt, that's when you'll start to hear them voice their opinions and voice their concerns.
You know what? I just identification, right? People that are rolling around in first class, driving Rolls Royces, living in fancy homes, but then they say they're Sufi. Does the Sharia allow you to live like this and still consider yourself a Sufi?
When we look at the history of the shaykh in the history, we have never seen Sufis and shaykh live the way that the shaykh and the peers are living now. And long time ago, Hazrat Ali ibn Hajwari radiallahu ta'ala an, which we say Data Sahab, has said that in his kitab, in Kashf al-Mahjub, he has stated that in that time, and this is one of the oldest testimonies in Pakistani history, where before Pakistan was created, I mean in the subcontinent of India, when Hazrat Data Sahab came before Khaja Pak. So understand this. So how long ago this was. And Data Sahab said in Kashf al-Mahjub, he said that when I was growing up, everywhere was tasawuf. In his young age, everywhere was tasawuf, but there was no name of it. Everyone was tasawuf. We can see Sufis, but there was no name. There was no Sufi. Everyone was living according to the Sharia. Now, he said, as he was maturing and as he was going to be passing away, then he wrote, he said, now the name of tasawwuf is there, but we don't see Sufis. And this Dr. Sahab said this hundreds and hundreds of years ago in his kitab, and it's apparent in front of you right now.
Right. So, I guess going to the impact that it has on the Ahlul Sunnah. What do we do to help? What can anybody do and take part? We don't want to tell people don't go to mazarat because you can go. But what do we do to the awam?
There are real shaykh there. There are. We're not going to deny, but they're hidden. It's your job to find your ustad, your real shaykh, if you are in need of an ustad. Otherwise, Quran and Sunnah and this time of era is enough, in my knowledge. If my son says to me now that, which I'm seeing in the halat, in the environment of the behaviors of these so-called Sufis, I'm not going to encourage him to go search the world for a shaykh. I will encourage him to go to a madaris and for him to apply Sharia. And for him then in his life, whenever he wants to find a shaykh or he's in need of a shaykh, he can do so. It's not mandatory. As I said, it's not fard or wajib or any of in the rulings of the Sharia to have a peer in your life. This concept has turned lazim in our Desi world, unfortunately. So many people are not bad. Shaykh Muhammad is not bad. Our own Shaykh Muhammad. And we had a conversation with Shaykh Muhammad, and Shaykh Muhammad said, oh, Hazrat, he said to me, Shaykh Aamer, do you know something? And we were speaking about these affairs. He goes, I'm not bad either. He goes, why? He said, because him as an alim, he says, I have not seen anyone on the level even I am. because the affairs that was happening in Misr, in Egypt, because the same type of behavior, the cultish behavior, it's as a brother said, they're ignorant. Sufi is still out there, and they're doing these rang barangi batein, and they're speaking not according to the Sharia. I would say, and see it for the awam is, if you need to better yourself, first learn the Sharia, learn the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and if Allah subhanahu wa taala guides you to someone pious, then He will guide you. And if it doesn't, it is not end of the world either. And you should just be sticking to your salah, sticking to your Quran, sticking to the Sunnah of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the Quran is suffice for you, because Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani said this already. Our Ghal said this already. He said, even if you see any shaykh that is not according to the Sharia, leave him and go according to the Sharia. Meaning, come back to the Quran and Sunnah. That's it. So why is it lazim now? It's very important, because it's yours. It's an ego thing for you. It's an in thing for you. You want to be a part of something so badly, but it may corrupt you. So once again, I don't want to tell the viewers we as the Sufi Council of Toronto, our name Sufi Council of Toronto, was having this conversation with Hafiz Yahya, and Yahya said we should call it Sunni Council of Toronto. The reason why we named it Sufi Council of Toronto is because so the people can honestly understand what real tasawauf is. We as a Sufi Council don't advertise silsila.
Never.
We don't advertise silsila. We advertise the Sharia. We promote the Sharia. We promote the madaris. We promote the adara. We promote Quran and Sunnah. This is what we want people to do. We have never promoted silsila. And we need people to come back to the masajid. When they have understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah, then afterwards it's up towards Allah.
Is it safe to say that the reason they go that way, the easy way out, and go to Pir Sahab and this and that and get manipulated that way, because I find that these people are also agents working with the government, like Shaykh Aamer said, but they're very good with their words. They're very slick. They understand how to pounce on the naive, and they use it very, very well, this ability that they have. They're actors and stuff like that. And I think they brought up that way, Jalak, and from a very young age. Anyways, my point is, what do you say to that individual who is now trying to figure out his way and trying to, seeing these red flags and all of these things, and how do we help the people? So same question, but to you, Hafiz Ab, is how do we help the awam now identify these people? Do we just sit there and start blasting all these people that we see and going like how Wobbler Busters does it on Facebook? We do like Sufi Busters to show them. Sorry, and I also believe that Quran and Sunnah is very difficult. Following the Quran and Sunnah is very, very difficult. Following Pir Sahab is very easy. And it's the easy way out, and that's why people get suckered in. But anyways, go to your point.
Like Shaykh Amer's been mentioning throughout the entire podcast, it's not mandatory upon you to have a shaykh. That shouldn't be a priority for you. Instead, I've been mentioning this too as well, time and time again. Your obligation is to learn and seek knowledge, right? That should be your obligation. Now, if you're looking for a shaykh around your area, or in your vicinity, or within your reach, within your resource reach, of a few shaykh that are on how they're practicing ulama, or they're practicing alims, right? Follow them, take a bit of benefit from all of them, right? You don't have to restrict yourself to one. Now, if you're looking for that one shaykh at the end of the day, look for the qualities that you can't find elsewhere. For example, Shaykh Al-Buti rahimahullah, he was asked, why don't you let anyone kiss your hand? And this is food for thought, and I'll end with this actually. He said, what people see is what Allah allows people to see of myself, right? My outer is what Allah has let remain uncovered. That good which He has let remain uncovered. What you don't see, and alhamdulillah upon Him for covering my sins, for covering what you're not able to see. And alhamdulillah to Him that He has covered it till this day, and He continues to cover it, right? But what
addressing to the point of Hafiz Bilal as well is just that you need to, going into the Sohbah of a Sufi, also look around your surroundings as well. Stay in the Sohbah, see red flags. When you have knowledge of ilm, you'll be alerted right away. And I'll give you an example, just like what the brother is saying. This is why I wanted to say my point quickly, so I know I'm going to lose my thought.
train of thought, yeah.
Hazrat Bayezid Bastami. Hazrat Bayezid Bastami, the king of the Naqshbandi Silsila. This Bayezid Bastami. The Bayezid Bastami, this was him and his fellow friends. They said, Shaykh, let's go and go visit a Shaykh. He said, yes, let's go. And if he's a real Shaykh, I will become his murid. And Hazrat Bayezid, this is Bayezid Bastami. This is in that era, the greatest of the Alim-e-Din. Hazrat Bayezid Bastami, it took them 3 days to go into this khanka, and they found that Shaykh. Now that Shaykh, it was time for Salah, and his friends and Hazrat Bayezid Bastami was there. They seen that the Shaykh was facing the Qibla, and he accidentally spat in the direction of the Qibla, towards the Kaaba. Not physically, but towards the Qibla. Hazrat Bayezid Bastami left. His friends were like, Bayezid, took us 3 days. What ruined your mood now? You left. He said if he had awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Qibla, he would not have spat in the direction of the Qibla. Even though the Shaykh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, so I was mentioning similar point, right? The khawf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Shaykh al-Buti says, I didn't let anybody kiss my hand because I had khawf of my actions between me and him versus what other people saw of me.
Yeah, sorry. So back to the point again. Thank you, Hafiz. The Bayezid Bastami left, and he said, well, why? Because he should have known about the Qibla. Even though he was on the path, he was correct, but accidentally just spat in it. This is how sensitive the matter should be towards the Sharia. That your shaykh that you're putting hand in hand with has to be day and night according to the Sharia. Bas. And he would know this when? Because Hazrat Bayezid was an alim. And he was looking for tasawauf on the side to better himself. How can he better himself when the Shaykh doesn't even know about the simple principle?
It reminds me of a story similar to Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah ta'ala. And he traveled 30 days towards to receive a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he got there, and the same concept, he spat. And he turned back around and he came back. And then the companions of Sayyidina Imam Bukhari, rahimahullah, said to him, he says, oh, tell us about the hadith that you got. You traveled 30 days that way, 30 days back. So 2 months traveling. And he says, oh, I didn't accept it. And they said, well, what do you mean? You traveled all this way. Why? He says, he spat
towards the Qibla.
And he said, if that person can spit and also utter the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I won't accept it. And this is what it comes down to, is being able to see where your surroundings are. And I think it goes back to this understanding, and the knowledge of Islam is very important. That's what's being neglected. But isn't being part of a Sufi cult, we won't say cult, but being part of a tariqah, isn't it cool?
No, look, there is again, this conversation shouldn't be discouraging people. This should be actually reminding people of what bad is. There's always goodness in Islam.
100%.
And the goodness is, I do want to give credit to, which I really admire and adore, to the main of the Sufiya, which I really adore. One, Maslak of Allah Hazrat, of Breli Sharif.
100%.
You're part of them. You're not, I feel that
you're not going to get lost.
You're not going to get lost.
They have Sharia and they have Tariqah.
There's going to be, it's such a big organization. This is the best and the greatest and the most popularist of Tariqa Razaviyya, Barakatiyya in the whole world of Sufi Tariqa. There are going to be little hiccups here and there, but it's a foundation. You're not going to find no Pil Razavi. I'll tell you this right now. There might be hiccups in between and this and that. That is different, but there are not going to be that many cultish behaviors. Second, I have to give respect to Dawat Islami, because Dawat Islami also is on the correct path, and you'll never see their amirs or never see their nigrans or never see their organization go off the Sharia as well. This is my opinion, and I really admire them on what they're doing, and I respect them because they enforce Quran and Sunnah as the best of their ability. And third, I do respect the Ashrafiyah a lot too, because the elders of the Ashrafiyah as well have done a lot of work, and they have spread the deen all over the world. If Ashrafiyah silsila is found in every part of the world, right? And that's because of their elders. As I said, there's going to be hiccups in everyone. We're not here to create like fitna and this and this.
But is infallible.
No. They're not masoom.
But that's what people are,
they're not masoom.
Assuming.
No,
right?
they're not masoom.
My peer can't do any wrong. My peer can't do this, whatever. My peer is on this high pedestal and stuff because my peer is a wali. Right? So what would your message to be those people who say that my peer is a wali?
Look, brother, if he had a statement that is not according to the Sharia, he has to retract that statement, and it is for him to be corrected. That's for everyone.
It doesn't matter how saint-like they are.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, if he did something wrong, if he recited the Quran wrong, there has to be a luqma. If he's narrated a hadith wrong, I'm sorry, there has to be a luqma there too. Again, it has to be a correction. Thirdly, if he said something ghair shari, has to be corrected. But the love of the ulama is, the beauty of the imams and the ulama are that when they do find mistakes, they are ready to say their mistakes. That's the difference between the correct path. If I make a mistake, mazallah, and accidentally, I want my brothers to correct me. And I have been corrected, and I will be corrected, because I'm not masoom. I'm not this and that. We're khidmat wazar of the deen. We're here to spread the word. So regarding this behavior, we see this in the ulama and the imams only. But when the shayukh gets criticized, we have this gang thuggish behavior. Who are you? Who are you to say this against my sheikh? Who is this? I'm going to kill you. Or this, how dare you? This and that. Out of the three silsilas that I have just mentioned, out of three of them, wallahi, I tell you, I have seen three of their elders, shayukh, been corrected on the mic, retract, but they have said something wrong, and the awam accepted it. Meaning they are ready they're ready to be corrected. And this is the beauty of Islam and the deen. And their izzat is not lowered. No. That's the beauty of Islam. It's fine. One day I'll tell you something about myself. And this is what the teaching of Islam is in our household. One day, accidentally, my feet, Omar, I was laying this way, for example, on the sofa, and my feet accidentally, I didn't know, facing the Qibla. Ali came to me and he said, Dad, what are you doing? Abu, what are you doing? I said, what? And he got upset. And he even patted my feet. Don't you know the Qibla is this way? I said, yes, Ali, it is. Right. You're right. Absolutely right. If you're going to teach your children, teach them about Sharia, teach them about the Kaaba, teach them about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you need to accept this. 100%. If I'm going to discipline my son, why did you correct me? You don't know I'm your dad? But this is the Sharia. Even though he was still not baligh yet, but still I have to be listening to him. This is why the other shayukh said as well, that don't let it be where even a 4-year-old will come and he will insult you as well. So the shayukh, right? Allah will send a 4-year-old to insult you as well. So you don't want this to happen, meaning balance yourself, stop with the ego, and then differentiate yourself. And inshallah, you will see there's blessings amongst those shayukh that will take criticism. If Sayyidina Umar al-Faruq al-Azam al-Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala an, on the minbar was questioned about his libas, where his libas is taken, if it was a shak from someone, the Umar, where was this libas? Where did you have the money to buy this libas? Was it not from the ghanima? Was it from the mal? It was a shak, but no. He was asked. Meaning you have to be like this. If Umar, Amir al-Mu'mineen, can be questioned from an armed person.
You have to be an open book.
And held accountable.
Yeah. And you have to be able to take criticism and you have to be. But Islam teaches you that when you study the Deen, you have to study. It gives you patience and understanding, right? When you get jazbat, I think the only people that get quoting Hafiz Yahya butthurt is the ones who have an ego problem and have not studied the religion. And I think that's very important. Where people have to understand is that an alim will be okay with taking criticism, and that's a part of that. He understands the tasawwuf part of the deen as well. Would you agree?
I agree.
I was waiting. Nobody can see you nodding your head. All right, so we're gonna end it off. Before we end it off, I want to give you maybe a minute or two to say how do we better ourselves in terms of this cultish behavior? What nasiyat would you give to people on bettering their ability to see and all of these things? Because it is something that has been traditional and it's hard for somebody to get out of it. But I want to go there. So your nasiyat to the people about this cultish behavior and so on and so forth.
The only nasiyat I can give to the brothers who are inducted into these Sufi schools and tariqah is also to be open-minded and to be respectful to everyone. We need ittihad in the ummah right now. We cannot be thinking that we are better than anyone else or lesser than anyone else or are degrading or insulting anyone. And this is also comes in adab, and respectful, and this is also a cultish behavior that we have amongst the tariqah and the silsilas as well. This is actually ruining our image according to the Ahl Sunnah. This message also for the people who are lured into fake Sufis is that there's always help, there's always people that can guide you out of this, and to know that one, if your Sufi is trying to, or your Ustad is trying to take advantage of you in any way, dividing your family, their behavior amongst their families, amongst their own families towards you, hostile conversations and threatful and being disrespectful, this is not for you. This is not for you. I mean, you already know the answer. It's already from you. If their own families did not absorb the Sufism from their Shaykh and their Pir, then what influence are you going to have about it? Get out. Just leave it. Just get out. You don't have to follow them. No one tells you that you have to follow anything. It's the Quran and the Sunnah. If you are in these hostile environments. Thirdly, if money is always an issue, stop giving money. Stop it. Who's telling you to give money? Stop it. Fourth, if there are sexual relations, and this has been happening too, if there's any type of invitation and luring into this, and this is a huge thing too, this is a lot of cases in UK and a lot of cases around the world where many of these peers take over their authority. You see any of that, call the police. Who's stopping you? I mean, this is not Islam. And understand, he is a predator. He is not a Sufi. And, you know, most of these things are done by those people who have a naive understanding with Islam, such as women and children and etc. and young folks. So when you be inducted into a Sufi school of thought, if it's not embedding you, get out.
I don't know what else I can add to that, but I guess just threefold. First, if you're in that situation, seek help. Second, build your relationship with your Lord, with your Creator. And lastly, learn, gain knowledge.
Very well said. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, PeerPal is a new app that is being used right now. It's taking debit, credit, MasterCard, American Express.
Accepting all forms of payment.
All forms of payment. I think we need to stop it immediately. These people are getting rich off of vulnerability of the awam. And we got to be able to, like the brothers have said, identify what a real sheikh is supposed to be and understand what the tasawwuf actually is, and that you can only do that by seeking knowledge. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. This was our episode on Sufi Cults Part 3. There's a lot more to talk about, obviously, but we want to keep it concise. So thank you very much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the episode. There's a lot more content coming your way. Reminding you guys again, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, build our viewership, share with your friends and family, and make sure you stay continued to be attached to Mic'd Up on Instagram as well, Mic'd Up 416. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.